the Serpent King.
The path for the Pharaoh. Hold the line.
Jet of Egypt. Story 4 Part 1. Reign circa 2980-1970 BC.
Help me.
Before Egypt learned how to endure, it learned how to bleed. When King Jer died around 2980 BC, the throne did not pass peacefully. It cracked open, exposing a kingdom still unfinished, still fragile, still learning how to survive succession. Egypt was barely a century past unification, and every new king faced the same question. Would the state hold, or would it collapse back into division and chaos that had only recently been buried? Jet, the fourth king of the first dynasty, rose not into stability but into suspicion, resistance, and silent threats. He did not inherit loyalty. He inherited observation. The North remembered old divisions and unresolved wounds. The South guarded ancient authority and tradition. The priesthood watched closely for omens, because in early Egypt, legitimacy was not proven by force alone, but by signs, symbols, and control of cosmic order. Jet understood this immediately. He moved before anyone else could move against him.
Hail Horus, Lord.
His first decision was not a campaign and not a speech. It was a transformation of kingship itself. Jet bound his royal identity to the cobra, Wadjet, the living serpent of Lower Egypt. For the first time, the uraeus was no longer decoration. It became declaration. The king was no longer merely protected by the gods. He became their warning, a living embodiment of divine retaliation. This single act fused politics, religion, and fear into one symbol that could not be challenged without sacrilege. Administrative ivory labels from his reign reveal a sudden tightening of control. Detailed records of grain, cattle, offerings, labor, and royal estates multiplied across the state. This was not economic growth. It was strategic consolidation. Jet was sealing the arteries of the kingdom, ensuring that nothing moved without the crown's awareness.
Hail to Ra.
Kings do not centralize resources unless conflict is expected. Evidence carved into ivory points to targeted punitive expeditions in the Nile Delta. These were not wars of expansion. They were calculated strikes designed to erase local power symbols, dismantle regional identities, and force obedience without prolonged bloodshed. Yet Jet's most radical act was not committed in life. It was prepared for death. He chose Abydos as his eternal center and ordered the construction of Tomb Z. For the first time in royal history, a tomb floor was fully paved in limestone.
This power will not fade.
Polished stone replaced mud brick.
Means eternity.
This was not engineering vanity. This was ideology. Stone meant permanence. Stone meant eternity. Jet was declaring that kingship itself had crossed from mortality into something unbreakable and beyond challenge.
Of rage, but calculations of power.
Surrounding the tomb, archaeologists uncovered more than 40 subsidiary burials. Human beings were placed deliberately around the king.
To eternity. The offerings are prepared.
These were not accidental deaths nor later intrusions. They were coordinated sacrifices performed at the moment of burial.
He carries his court.
Jet revived one of the darkest instruments of early royal power. The king does not travel alone into eternity. He carries his court, his servants, his world with him. This was not madness. It was a calculated message that loyalty did not end with death and that kingship consumed everything around it. The numbers are undeniable. Over 40 retainers were buried in alignment, their existence erased to reinforce the isolation and divinity of the ruler. Fear was not a side effect of Jet's reign. It was a tool. He did not rule through chaos. He ruled through silence, through inevitability, through the certainty that resistance would never reach the stage of rebellion or even memory. Inscriptions associated with his name emphasize Ma'at, cosmic order, not as philosophy but as enforcement. Jet was not a conqueror pushing borders outward. He was a stabilizer, compressing Egypt inward, sealing fractures, closing wounds, and forcing unity by pressure rather than expansion. Stabilizers are often more dangerous than warriors because they erase threats before history can record them or even name them. By the end of his reign around 2970 BC, Egypt entered an unnatural calm, a silence so complete that later dynasties barely referenced him. His architectural innovations were not repeated. His sacrificial methods were quietly abandoned. His name remained, but his story faded as if deliberately avoided, buried beneath caution and unease. What kind of king creates order so absolute that history itself steps back? This is not the end of Jet's story.